Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. And we are back.
We are back.
I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And this is Dudes to Dads again. Episode 102, Alan.
102, yeah.
102.
We are past the Centurions.
It is awesome.
It's very great.
I want to start this episode with a quote.
Oh, okay.
Famous motivational speaker Brian Tracy. And here's the quote for you. All negative emotions, especially anger, depend on your ability to blame someone or something else for something in your life you are unhappy about.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Is
that
really
totally makes sense. Yeah, I think I can relate.
Yeah. So today's episode is titled "Everyone is Responsible for My Happiness and Everyone Else Causes My Pain."
Absolutely.
Isn't that true?
That's the truth in every single case.
So there's no question we all allow others to affect our emotions.
Yeah.
And, this rings so true when you have children.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because we are affected by how our children act, how our children talk, the things that they say and they do, and all these things, we allow that to affect us. And some people are better than others. Some people's like, whatever, the kid's doing fine.
Yeah.
Other people get really stressed out, get really upset. It's anger, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And even on the happy side, that's the happy side too, is where, well, if my child does this or my spouse does this, then I'll be happy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's almost like they're little representations of you.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally. So I wanted to, as it relates to the kids, I want to think of, some phrases, and these are things that we've heard since we were little, and we still pass them on to our children. Okay. So as an example, don't say that. It hurts his feelings.
Yeah.
So let's think about that for a second. Don't say that. It hurts his feelings. So that's where we're talking about the ownership of the feelings.
Right.
Where we are taught from a very early age that certainly what we say and do affects others and how they feel.
Sure.
I'm not saying to neglect that, but what I am saying is to focus on the fact that what others do and say shouldn't affect us. Should not affect us.
Ideally speaking.
Correct.
Right.
So if we're able to teach our children that concept, to me, that is more important than trying to teach them, like I said, that what you're doing and saying is affecting other people.
Yeah, it's like kind of why does it affect you? What is it about that may have affected you? And so if they have a comprehension of that, they'll be able to kind of deal with things a lot better.
Yeah. So here's another one that a parent will say. The way you are acting is making me really upset. Now, I'm guilty of saying that. It's not making me upset.
Yeah.
I've made the decision to be upset because I don't like whatever's being said.
Yeah.
So I make the decision to be upset instead of making the decision to not have that bother me.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. But where do you draw the line?
It doesn't negate the fact that what they're doing is wrong,
right?
Or what they said is inappropriate, or what. I mean, it has nothing to do with that. It's how we internally process and perceive what is going on.
Gotcha.
So there's this. I took this course and was listening to this course, and it said, I don't want anything to break my serenity. Nothing's going to disrupt my serenity.
Sure.
And that is the concept of, if we can not focus on what others are saying and doing, and instead focus on how it is that we want to be. I mean, this is very Zen-like. I'm not,
for sure.
I'm talking far out there.
Yeah.
But it's something that we should aspire to, in my opinion, because, I myself have always been my whole life affected greatly by what others say and do. And it's not to say like, I don't care what other people say. I don't care. It's not so much that.
Yeah.
It's even what somebody says, but what somebody does can affect my mood.
Oh, yeah.
It could be, my kids are acting up, so that therefore is making me upset.
Yeah.
that's my choice of how I handle that.
How you process it.
How I process it. I could be calm.
Yeah.
I could be mellow. I could be instructional and say, hey guys, you're acting this way right now and it's not appropriate, versus me blowing up and getting angry or, do whatever. So I think as dads, we often, a lot of dads will rule from being authoritative and getting upset, but that's not going to teach the kids anything.
Right.
Because what we're also teaching them is like how they act and how they're doing these things really affects whether I'm happy or sad.
Yeah.
And that's the truth is it shouldn't.
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
So another one, that hurts my feelings.
Right.
I have the decision of whether that hurts my feelings or not.
Yeah.
I could say, you know what? I don't really like what you said. And that's probably, that wasn't appropriate.
Yeah.
But whether it hurts me or not is up to me.
Yeah.
It's really up to me.
I've dealt with that a lot of that.
It's such a powerful concept.
It is. And it's a fairly abstract one when people actually look outside of themselves and are able to process that at that split moment that things are happening, then you're in a different state of being because the immediate reaction is like, I'm hurt or something.
What she just said just bothered me.
Exactly. Like it hurt some internal thing that happened to you when you were a kid.
Well, think about when you're talking with a spouse or whoever, or even a friend, and they'll say something and then you get upset.
Right.
You have that option.
Yeah.
It doesn't negate the fact that they said something that they shouldn't say or that what they said was mean.
Yeah.
But you have an option of how you deal with it and how you process it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm realizing is really effective of how I process things. My kids are watching that.
Sure.
So if my wife is going to say something and then all of a sudden I get upset over it, why am I getting upset over that? Like that's breaking my serenity.
Right.
Instead, I could say, you know what? I don't agree with that. That's not what I think. And I think you're wrong for saying that.
Right.
But I have the option of whether that affects me. And so why should that ruin the rest of my day?
Sure.
Yeah. Like if I want to be, I really do. I want to be a happy person. I want to be, someone who's enjoyable to be around. Why would I let something like that happen?
Yeah.
And so I think it's a very, very powerful tool and a very powerful thing. And so when I was kind of joking around with the title, if you think about it, everybody is responsible for my happiness.
Right.
It's everybody else's
except me.
It's making sure my kids are doing the right thing, my wife's doing the right thing, and then I'll be happy.
Right.
You're going to be pretty pissed off.
Yeah, because if it's contingent on anyone else, then you're in the wrong frame of mind.
And then at the same token, they're doing stuff wrong that I don't like or that I don't think is okay. Well, that's causing me pain.
Right.
It's not how I view it.
Yeah.
It's everyone else's fault of why I'm in pain.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really, I had looked at an episode, I had done some research and we were looking at about taking ownership of your emotions. And I think this is kind of similar to that. It's just really taking a look at how you process things that other people are doing or saying and having that option of how you want to deal with it.
Right.
Like I said, it doesn't make it okay. Somebody says something really mean-spirited.
And there's got to be some kind of middle ground of where your emotional reaction kind of translates into something that says, hey, you know what? You shouldn't be doing that. And that's regardless. And then maybe you do get emotional or you do kind of react, but then you don't internalize it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say you shouldn't get emotion. Emotion is a healthy thing. Yeah, emotion's a healthy thing, but it's kind of like, let's say like somebody passes away. Of course, you're going to be sad.
Right.
It's not that you have the decision of whether you should be sad or not.
Exactly.
But what I'm talking about is like things and like I said, things that people say, things that people do, things that happen that you really oftentimes don't have control over.
Right.
You don't have control over how somebody else is acting or doing that. So the idea of being able to teach our kids this, the other saying I was going on, I kind of went on a tangent. I can't believe what she just did. That makes me mad.
Yeah.
Same thing. I have that decision to do that.
Sure.
So, I just can't imagine what could be more impactful than teaching our children this kind of resiliency.
Sure.
Because I do think it's important to obviously teach them how they're affecting other people and such. But, it is something that if you can teach them this resiliency, I think it's going to be really powerful.
Yeah. It would be great, I wish I had learned some of the stuff I know now when I was a lot younger.
That's why we're
guiding
here.
Me. Yeah, exactly. So I guess
our life's half over. We're kind of getting to it now.
Right.
These are all things that indicate that other people's actions will dictate how I feel or how I act. And so the reality is that we are responsible for our own feelings and how we perceive things. So we have the decision to determine if something is bad, good, how it negatively affects us or positively affects us and makes us happy.
Right.
We can also make the decision that it doesn't affect us at all.
Yeah.
There's, and some people are really good at that where it's just like, that idea, someone said, well, I don't care what other people think or say or whatever,
I got to that stage good. After a while. Like I didn't realize I was there until like somehow, I don't know, I would say about 10 years ago, I started evolving into that because before I would react so heavily to what people were saying or what was happening with me in my personal life or, professional life. And after a while, I started realizing, why do I care? And so I literally consciously made the effort to say, I just don't care what you have to say or, and then like not, if it's negative, especially if it's like negative or like people are like, well, he said so. I go, so what? Like, get out of that situation. Why are you staying in there? I don't understand why this is happening. And like recently, even like the client was like, to try to explain why they're being mean. I'm like, well, I don't really care because therefore I have to put myself in their head. I just don't want them to do it anymore. Right. And I'm not going to internalize what they're doing, nor am I going to react to how they're going to do it. Yeah. If they're going to be a bully, that's just them being a bully. And so let's stop that. I got to stop that action for them being a bully. I don't want to get in their head and try to figure them out. I don't care. Right. Stop it.
Right. I know. So what if we're able to teach our children that despite what others people say or do, it really doesn't affect them?
Right.
It's just, there's a saying, obviously, that, everybody knows that, sticks and stones may break my bones, may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Yeah.
If we are able to actually stick to who we are, so if I'm a happy person, I get to be happy regardless of what someone says or does.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty cool.
It will be.
I mean, and if you can teach your children that, it's really powerful stuff.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine fairly recently who's more an entertainer, and she does that stuff. And we were talking about that, how the normal homeostasis of where we're at is generally up in the happy zone. It's until when people come around and disrupt it on some level that we kind of get caught up in their stuff. And I'm like, no, you just got to keep
don't let them disrupt
it. Don't let them disrupt it. And if they're disrupting it, then then get away from them. Right. You're disrupting stuff, and
you're just sitting in a room by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. just meditate in a room.
That's why those guys that meditate and sit in a room in the top of the mountain, at the top of the mountains, are really happy.
Exactly. They're
There's nobody else to piss you off.
Why are you here? There's no one pissing me off.
Right. No, absolutely. No, and I think about, or if you think about bullying, acceptance among peers, and even in the worst cases, suicide.
Sure.
Among younger people.
Yeah.
That's something, this concept relates to that.
Yeah.
That about caring what other people think and caring what other people do and how that affects us emotionally.
Yeah. Internalizing someone else's problems. That's the part that's really the troubling part of what most people do.
Yeah. And it's not to say that you don't care.
Yeah.
Certainly if somebody has an issue and you're caring about them, but it's being able to kind of put it in a separate compartment, if you will.
Right.
So what do we do? So I came up with a couple different ways of how we can help with this concept and impact our kids. So the first thing is to refrain from blaming your kids for any emotion or state that you might be in. So as an example, do not say this. You are making me angry. What you said really hurts my feelings. When you argue with your brother, it gets me really upset. Anything like that where you're talking about their behavior, what they're doing, and how it causes you a problem, you can't say that. That's what I'm saying is don't say that.
Right.
So instead, if we're able to say, what we don't like or how it's affecting us, you might be able to use, and I kind of turn this around. So this is what we would say instead of like, you are making me angry. Hey, I don't really appreciate how you're acting right now. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You're just not, they're not causing you your feeling
no pain.
change.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe, hey, it sounds like you prefer something different. How could you have said that in a positive or constructive way?
Right.
and that's maybe somebody saying, hey, you hurt my feelings or something like
Sure.
that. Another one, it looks like you and your brother aren't getting along. How do you think we can solve this? Mm-hmm. And that's, these are like parenting techniques.
Sure.
And then also realize that, you need to calm down and not let that affect you. So that's a situation like, you see your siblings are arguing and you get all crazy because you're stressed out.
Right.
And instead realizing you don't have to be like that.
Right. Like
you have that option. Yeah. And it's hey, for everyone listening, I'm not saying this is easy. It's like, oh yeah, just don't worry about it. I'm saying this is something that me personally, I would love to be able to get to that point where the things that are being done, and I can tell you just earlier today, my kids were doing certain things and I was already kind of stressed out about some other stuff. And it just got me worked up. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to do this episode tonight.
It's like
just
a workout.
It is. It's like, I need that reminder. And that's why I said, this is a work in progress. That's why we do these episodes is to sort of remind ourselves that
cathartic.
this is stuff that is real and that affects us every day.
For sure. Sure. And that goes for parenting and just dealing with the outside world.
Totally. So number 2, teach your child that they get to decide how things affect them. Mm-hmm. So one of the things we've always said is you're in control.
Right.
We've tried to instill this in our children. So it's okay to have feelings. They're going to have it. And just for them to begin to understand that their feelings are controlled by them, not by others.
Right.
So having that conversation over and over about their emotions, and they get to choose when somebody else is affected. That's what I said. I'm not saying it's like, oh, they got hurt or somebody passed away. Or,
for sure.
Their emotion, hey, you have the decision of not to cry right now.
Exactly, right.
It's okay to be sad. And that's the other thing. You want to give kids especially, the permission to have feelings.
Exactly.
But realizing that they have to own it.
Yeah.
And they have that decision. So they can be sad, they can be angry, they can be happy. But they're the ones who get to decide and choose how they want to react and respond to it.
Sure.
So that's just something to begin to start teaching them. So the third one, provide them examples in real time. So when a child says, what she said hurt my feelings, you might say, did she hurt your feelings? Or did you decide that what she said was hurting your feelings?
Right.
Now, they may be like, what are you talking about? Like I said, it doesn't make what the person said okay or right, but it does change the control.
Right.
It begins to change the dynamic. So that's an important one is that, just begin to teach the children and doing it when they say that.
Right.
Because the kids will say all the time, like, she's making me, but he's talking to me. I mean, all the time.
Even adults say something like that.
No, of course. That's why we're doing this.
Yes.
So that's the third item. So, we blame others when things don't go the way that we want. Mm. That's, so one of the things is, we have a tendency to not want to look inside because let's say we're trying to figure out why something is happening or why, I'm in a situation like this. We stop the investigation when we can blame somebody else.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we could even go broader than this. We could go to the, our state of our country, all kinds of stuff of saying, hey, it's really easy for me to blame somebody else for the position that I'm in.
For sure.
Rather than taking responsibility and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not making enough money because I'm not making enough money versus my boss is keeping me down.
Right.
The man is keeping me down.
Yeah.
Or, I'm unhappy because my wife keeps doing X, Y, Z.
Right.
No, that's a decision you have.
Yep.
So it's something that you just got to take a look at. I think this goes for our personal relationships. It goes for our business relationships.
For sure.
All the time. I'm guilty of that. It's where, I'm in the business setting and somebody doesn't deliver on what they say they're going to do. Sure, that may affect my bottom line, but why should I have that affect and ruin my day?
Right.
You know,
just
like
make it happen.
move
or
on.
don't.
Next,
Yeah,
exactly. Next thing. I've got more problems to deal with.
Yeah, right.
I think the overarching thing for this is if we can take a little bit more responsibility for our own actions and our feelings and our emotions, we may just find that our lives have a little less conflict.
Yeah.
And a little more harmony.
No, I totally agree. That's great.
one to grow.
That's one to grow on. No, I totally agree with that. That's a very good statement. And actually, that's a really where we all should be aspiring to be.
Yeah.
I get in that situation all the time where it's like, I'm a lot more happy when I understand that I'm the one causing my own pain. And then therefore, everyone else shouldn't really have that much.
Once you can accept responsibility, it's over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
you're like, hey, I'm pissed or I'm unhappy. Yeah. And guess what?
Just deal with it.
That's me. I don't feel good about this situation and I'm done. Right. Like, I don't have to blame somebody else. I don't have to, do that. So, yeah, it's a very, very interesting concept.
Yeah, it's empowering.
I think this is one that we're going to stick with and obviously talk a little bit more about.
Sure.
What do people do if they have a comment or a suggestion?
You can go to podcast@dudesToDads.com and write us a nice email. Or you can go to iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube and subscribe and leave a 5-star review on Stitcher and iTunes. That helps perpetuate the show. And any social media outlet, we're pretty much Dudes to Dads with the exception of Facebook, which is DudesToDads.com.
Correct.
Right.
All right. So with that, Alan, I appreciate it as always.
Yeah, thank you.
Another week's going by. It just goes, life is going by so fast. My kids are going to be driving soon. It does. It goes. It's so funny. I was just at a party recently and this is just a side note, but I met somebody there my father's friends with that literally knew me when I was my child's age.
Wow.
And I hadn't seen him since then.
Oh, since then.
It was a birthday party for somebody else. And so, I mean, it was just a weird, he's like, whoa, you have kids now? And it was like you said, when somebody sees you, haven't seen you in 35 years, or whatever. Yeah. So it was cool. I spent a lot of time talking. It was great. It was
That's awesome.
Good conversation. So, but anyways, with that, thank you again.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week.